What is up, people? Welcome back to the Climb the Pocket YouTube page. We have my co-host Ryan back from vacation. I'm really excited to talk to him today. We got our top 20 wide receivers and our biggest risers and fallers. We're going to talk about which wide receivers are up and which ones are down from our past rankings earlier in May. Before we get to the video, I want to let you know about your last chance to win this signed Kenny Golladay jersey. Ryan, go ahead and show the viewers right now. It is legit, signed by Kenny Golladay himself, wide receiver for the Lions. All you got to do is go to the link in the description, follow the rules, and it starts with subbing with the channel. So if you like our content or if you just want to win the jersey, sub to the channel. Like this video if you enjoy it. Before we get to the video, Ryan, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Listen, Steve, I was on vacation in Maine. You know, it's a nice like 78 degrees every day. It's beautiful, but I couldn't help but think I was missing out on something. And Colin filled in great for me. He did a great job. It was a solid video I watched on the mediocre Wi-Fi I had in Maine. But it's good to be back because, you know, a little piece of me was missing, and, you know, now it's filled. So I'm just happy to be back on the show.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't talked in forever, and you're rocking that sweet Maine hat.
Exactly.
And how else would you do it? But let's go ahead and get into these top 20 wide receivers. We'll start it off with the top 5. It goes Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins. And as you can see from our last video on May 27th, we have no changes in our consensus top 5 here. It looks like you have a slight change with DeAndre Hopkins. He moves down from your number 3 to your number 5. You got anything behind that?
The more I think about Hopkins, right, it goes back to he's a great wide receiver. I mean, he's had terrible quarterback play, but the problem is the offenses that he's been in, he's been the only guy. And, I mean, the offense he's in this year is going to seemingly be significantly better than really most of the offenses he's been in the past. Like, I know that he's had Will Fuller opposite him, and like the running back play has been iffy in Houston. So like he gets to be in an offense where they should be more balanced. There's other guys that can catch passes, and Kyler Murray isn't really an air it out guy as much as Deshaun Watson. So I love DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, you can see over my shoulder, I've got a DeAndre Hopkins signed jersey right there. He's a great wide receiver, but the volume for Davante Adams is going to be astronomical. Tyreek Hill, he's been talking a big game on Twitter recently, and I really do think that Tyreek Hill benefits the most from his quarterback play, and he's got the best thrower in the league in Pat Mahomes. So if I was hard-pressed, I would take those two guys over DeAndre Hopkins. It's not a slight of Hopkins at all. I mean, talent-wise, you could say he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, but the offense in Arizona is going to be interesting, and there's not a whole lot of room for his production to grow, I don't think.
Yeah, and looking at these other 4 receivers, all of them like are set in stone roles on their teams. And then you have Hopkins, who is just a new receiver on a new team, and there's always question marks behind just players on new teams. So these other guys are like locked and loaded roles on their teams. We know they're going to be successful, and DeAndre Hopkins, we just don't know. So like I feel like he's the perfect fit at number 5 out of this group. Let's go ahead and move on to number 6 through 10. We have Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper. We see that Allen Robinson moves up 2 spots. Mike Evans moves from number 8 to number 9, and Amari Cooper moves from 9 to 10. I know Allen Robinson's, over the past month, he's been getting a lot of hype. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that he's one of the better wide receivers in the league, and he actually had a really, good season last year with pretty abysmal quarterback play. So we know that he's going to get a ton of targets in offense. They bring in Nick Foles, which I think a lot of the fantasy community and just NFL community is seeing as an upgrade, seeing that he finds, gets the starting job, or at least gets the starting job after a few games. Mitch Trubisky clearly has the talent to be good, but it's been a few years, 4 years to be exact, and it's just not playing out for him. So I like Nick Foles passing Allen Robinson a lot more than I like Mitch Trubisky, just because of the accuracy, the consistency. I think that's all going to be there. When you look at a guy like Kenny Golladay, he's a set-in-stone receiver for me, a wide receiver 1, a guy that you can find in the 3rd round sometimes in your leagues. He's my number 5 receiver. He's my wide receiver 1. I feel so good about him. How do you feel about like guys like Mike Evans? I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there's a lot of question marks behind what's the role going to be of all these players in this offense. There's kind of a lot of mouths to feed. Tom Brady comes in. A lot of people say he's going to lean towards Chris Godwin because maybe he's going to play the slot. And I don't think we know until we actually see it.
I think if I had to guess, I think Godwin finishes ahead of Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is better suited across every single NFL team. I think Mike Evans would be a better fit overall, but in the team they're on together right now with the quarterback they have, I think Chris Godwin finishes better. The problem with these guys, I don't know how many times they're going to throw the football. You know, they may throw the football 23 times some games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to have to rely on Tom Brady slinging it. He's going to be extremely efficient with these guys, but you're not going to see the 50 attempts that we saw with Jameis Winston. Personally, I think Mike Evans is a higher boom guy where, like, there's a couple games where he might house 2 60-yard touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, Mike Evans is more explosive because he's a big body he runs a great slant, like, and he runs a great out route. And, like, I love everything Mike Evans does. I just don't think that the volume is going to be high enough to where he passes Chris Godwin because, I mean, we've seen how Tom Brady throws the football. I like Mike Evans more. It might be because Mike Evans has been on fantasy teams of mine, and I've watched him closer than I've watched Chris Godwin, even though Chris Godwin's he's a Pennsylvania guy. I like Mike Evans more just as a talent, but I think Chris Godwin edges him out. He's my wide receiver 7, and Mike Evans is my wide receiver 8.
Yeah, I'm pretty low on Amari Cooper. You got him at number 10. I've got him actually at number 12. He was number 8 for me, and I'm just kind of down on him. It's nothing against Dak Prescott or anything. I certainly think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but I'm just starting to get kind of afraid of the boom bust potential with Amari Cooper. And Mike Evans kind of fits in that role as well, which is probably why they're back to back. Let's go ahead and move on to number 11 through 15. My man, DJ Moore. We got Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Keenan Allen. And this is kind of a group of guys. I would kind of take DJ Moore out of the other group of 4 because I'm pretty high on DJ Moore. He's my number 9 receiver. He's 3 up from my May 27 rankings. I just really like what Teddy Bridgewater and his skills fit with this offense. I think Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, he couldn't find a better wide receiver running back combo to fit with his skill set. Teddy can definitely throw downfield, but we would probably say that he's probably a lower, A-dot guy for his receivers. And Christian McCaffrey fits that very well out of the backfield, obviously. And then DJ Moore is a guy that can, he definitely can run those slant routes, and he can definitely make plays off the line of scrimmage. And they kind of have a lot of guys like that, like Curtis Samuel as well. Ian Thomas is a tight end, up-and-coming tight end. I kind of like this offense. Not so many people are like high on the team itself, but they got a pretty good offense that's panning out, and I think DJ Moore is going to finish as a top 10 wide receiver. No doubt, get more touchdowns than last year. I'm really a fan of him, but when you look at these other guys, 12 through 15, they're kind of like all in a similar category for me. I know you're a little higher on Keenan Allen. He is down 2 spots for you, but he was all over Twitter this week about I'm the best wide receiver in the AFC West. You got any comments on that?
Well, Keenan Allen, I don't disagree. I love Keenan Allen's play. It's actually masterful to watch him run routes. I think it's unfortunate that he's kind of been in weird situations where he hasn't been appreciated enough. Like, he's been on those Charger teams where Phillip Rivers slings it a lot, but Keenan Allen seemingly doesn't. I don't know. It seems like he doesn't reap enough benefits for how well he plays to me. Like, if you just take Keenan Allen in a vacuum and you just break down some of the routes he runs, like, they're uncoverable. And I love the fact that he's going to be somebody's security blanket. I don't know which quarterback it's going to be. If it's Tyrod, that's fine. I think he's going to be better with Justin Herbert. And he fits in the area of guys that I know are going to be consistent every week. And I value consistency above boom or bust guys. I think Keenan Allen is always going to be 8 to 10 targets, and what he does with those targets is up to him, essentially. I think he's always a safe play. If he's your wide receiver 2, you're feeling great. He's tougher as a wide receiver 1, but the way that everyone else ranks him, he's going to be a wide receiver too, unless you're super high on him. But there's no reason to reach because he's going to be there. I don't know, 5th round probably.
Yeah.
So I like him a lot, and I don't see an issue having him as your wide receiver too.
Yeah, we haven't seen Keenan that low in drafts in a long time, so it's going to be pretty cool to get a guy of his name stature in that point in the draft. And, I think a guy like Keenan Allen is just, he's so good, and his route running is, second to none. But he's just one of those players that's dealt with injuries, and he's kind of played in spurts to where he has 2-3 fantasy games in a row. Maybe he's the wide receiver 1 for 5 straight weeks. Not obviously not the top finisher, but on average. And then he'll go out of nowhere for 6 straight weeks, less than 10 points or something like that. So it's just consistency, and obviously with the quarterback questions, I think that's all just kind of catching up for this, catching up with him for this year could be a value. Cooper Kupp goes down 2 rankings. He's still my number 11. I had him a little higher last month, and then you actually brought him down a spot as well, so he goes down 2 in our consensus. I'm still decently high on, obviously he's my number 11. I'm pretty high on Cooper Kupp. I do like this Rams offense more than people give it credit for. I mean, I love Tyler Higbee. I love Robert Woods. I guess that means I like Jared Goff because I like Cooper Kupp too, and obviously he's probably going to throw for 5,000 or something the way I'm projecting these guys. So I like Cooper Kupp. I think he's still going to be Jared Goff's favorite target. I know they liked Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee combo at the end of the year, and Cooper Kupp was kind of phased out. Still in the belief that there was a little something wrong with Cooper Kupp injury-wise, but he does move down because I do have the thoughts in the back of my head that they are going to run an offense similar to what they did at the end of the year last year. So got to keep that in your head when it comes draft day. Let's go ahead and move on to our final 5 receivers. We got 16 through 20, Odell Beckham Jr. down 2 spots. Then we got Robert Woods making a huge leap, 5 spots up to number 17. Tyler Lockett at 18, 1 spot up. A.J. Brown minus 2 spots to number 19, and Devontae Parker down 2 spots as well. How do you view a guy like Robert Woods? We got him moving up. You got him moving up 4 spots, and I've got him moving up 2 spots. So it moves him up 5 spots in our consensus all the way to 17.
Listen, Steve. Robert Woods, the problem with Robert Woods is he's always felt not like he's a big, sexy name. You know what I mean? He's always felt like he's always been a bridesmaid in most offenses. He's never felt like the number 1 guy. But, like, his production has been unbelievable the last couple of years. I think ranking him lower is probably overthinking it, thinking that, like, oh, he probably can't replicate what he's done the last couple of years. I was tempted to flip him and Cooper Kupp. I'm not quite there yet because I've seen Cooper Kupp have those weird 200-yard games. But Robert Woods in his own right has had, like, weird games where he's been targeted 15 times. I really do like Robert Woods. He's a great value guy. Like, you don't, at name value, you don't look at his name and be like, oh, that's an elite wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. It just kind of how the fantasy community has labeled him. He's like Jarvis Landry, but better, where like he doesn't get enough respect. If you somehow steal Robert Woods as like a flex play, it's a great thing to have on your team because he's getting peppered. Their running backs in Los Angeles are terrible. Like I don't expect a whole lot from the running backs this year, so they're going to be throwing, and Robert Woods is always open. So Robert Woods is definitely a top 20 wide receiver. I'm excited to see what he does this year. I have no reason to think he's not going to replicate his last couple years. So, oh yeah, Robert Woods, baby.
Yeah, I think I like kind of understand your idea behind possibly flip-flopping them because him and Cooper Kupp, because when you look at rank number 11 in my rankings, rank number 15 in my rankings for Robert Woods, dude, anytime you go within 10 to 20, these receivers realistically can all swap with each other. Everyone's projections are going to be so close. Everyone's going to be projected for like 1,150 yards and like 6 or 7 touchdowns. Like that's just like your average top 12 wide receiver or 12 wide receiver numbers right there. Like that's going to happen. So like all these guys on the list right here can easily finish as top 10. A guy like A.J. Brown, we saw last year at the end of the year, huge boom potential, has the body of a wide receiver, an ex-wide receiver, a guy that can make huge plays downfield with Ryan Tannehill. I think he goes down a few spots for us, and I don't know if I speak for you on this one. I don't know if I'm as high on like Ryan Tannehill and whatnot
Yeah.
as some of the other fantasy community is. Obviously, he operated at like extreme efficiency last year, and him and AJ Brown really found a connection. But we haven't seen that for a sustained length of time. So like, I need to see that just a little more before I invest in him. Like I think he's probably a 4th-round pick right now. I like him in Dynasty, no doubt. I think he's one of the better Dynasty targets. We don't talk Dynasty on this, but we're going to talk about him right here in that way. I just think he's a better Dynasty target than a redraft pick just at his current price. Like, if he was going where Keenan Allen was going in the 5th round, I like A.J. Brown a lot more. But I think there's just a little unknown about him. Similar with a guy like Devontae Parker. You know, the news comes out that Tua, he says he's ready to go. What if Tua gets in there and Ryan Fitzpatrick is no longer has that connection with Devontae Parker? Is he going to be the same guy we saw last year that finally broke out? We waited for years for Devontae Parker to break out. Do you think that continues no matter who the quarterback is playing, or do you think Tua makes a huge influence on him?
I don't love Parker with Tua. It's a rookie quarterback in a weird year where he's coming off a disgusting injury. And, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick makes fantasy wide receivers. We saw it with Mike Evans in Tampa Bay. Like, there was a boost. I mean, it's the same thing Jameis did for Mike Evans in Tampa Bay. Ryan Fitzpatrick swings. And I think Tua, as a rookie, isn't going to have the same leash and the same open playbook that a guy that's been in the league for 45 years is going to have. You know what I mean? So, like, I like Parker. I don't like him as much if Tua plays. But I also think that the Dolphins are going to be real slow with Tua. I don't think that they're going to rush him in just because they don't know how the hip's going to perform in game situations. And he's their investment. I mean, they're not going to rush him out there when he's not ready. So I think Fitzpatrick is a perfect bridge guy. Plus, Fitzpatrick's about to pass Troy Aikman in all-time passing yards. So
wow.
I think Fitzpatrick should 100% stay in as the Miami Dolphins quarterback. So Devontae Parker, draft with caution. Keep an eye on Tua, but he's still a top 20 guy. I just don't think he's going to be. He was like wide receiver 2 last year over the last 8 weeks. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, he's a comfortable flex for me.
Yeah.
Man, for fantasy, we want Ryan Fitzpatrick to stay in there as long as possible,
Yeah.
but don't invest too high of a pick in Devontae Parker just because the quarterback questions and similar to Keenan Allen, like we mentioned before. There are questions with quarterback. There's questions with the wide receiver as well. So there you have it. There's our top 20 wide receivers. We went over the risers and fallers. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to win this sweet Kenny Golladay jersey, Ryan, go ahead and show it again. Start with subbing with the channel and then following the rest of the rules in the link in the description. You're not going to want to miss out on this opportunity. We are announcing the winner tomorrow. Surprise videos dropping tomorrow. We are going to announce the winner on the video and then reach out to you on social media. So you're going to want to watch the video. Check out if you want. Sub to the channel. Like this video. It really helps us grow. And, we're over 500 subs now. So we kind of feel like we're gaining a little family here. And we definitely want to give you guys content that's going to help you win your fantasy football championships. Guys, we're just 45 days away from the start of the NFL season. It feels so close. We need fantasy football in a time like this. So sub to the channel. Let's create content together. Let's win some fantasy football championships. Thanks for stopping by and have a nice day.